Kelly accused Brandon of being a fraudulent manager during his time representing his then-wife in an explosive lawsuit. Kelly Clarkson and Brandon Blackstock were locked in a bitter divorce battle over money and their massive Montana ranch in the years before his death. The former music manager, who spent his last years as a rancher in Montana, also fought the pop star for custody of their two kids, River and Remington, during their years-long court war. Despite the acrimonious split, it appeared Kelly, 43, made amends with Brandon as she reportedly cared for him during his battle with melanoma before he tragically passed away at 48. However, their reconciliation took years to reach following a years-long divorce battle. Kelly filed for divorce from Brandon in June 2020, where she cited irreconcilable differences and later admitted she didn't see the split coming. On her daytime program, The Kelly Clarkson Show, Kelly spent the following months seemingly taking jabs at her ex through various comments and through emotional performances of her signature segment, Kellyoke. 2020 has been a dumpster fire, Kelly said during her show's season premiere that year, which was filmed just 2 months after she filed for divorce. 2020 has brought a lot of change also to my personal life. Definitely didn't see anything coming that came. But what I'm dealing with is hard because it involves more than just my heart. It involves a lot of little hearts. You know, we have 4 kids and divorce is never easy, and we're both from divorced families, so we know the best thing here is to protect our children and their little hearts, the Grammy winner added. The couple, who first wed in 2013, continued to battle over their estates, as well as custody, for the next 2 years. Both Brandon and Kelly initially filed to seek full primary custody of their children during the divorce proceedings. Ultimately, the divorce ended up granting primary physical custody to Kelly after she cited issues of trust of co-parenting with Brandon. However, Brandon was granted visitation rights on the first and last weekends of each month in Los Angeles, where the family previously resided, as well as the third weekend on his Montana ranch. The court also granted Brandon daily FaceTime calls and time during the holidays, documents state. Money war. During their divorce proceedings, Kelly made bombshell accusations about Brandon's handling of their money and her career. Brandon, who is the son of music powerhouse Narvel Blackstock, served as Kelly's manager for years and oversaw her transition from Nashville to Los Angeles to skyrocket her TV career. He helped negotiate the deal that landed her The Kelly Clarkson Show as well as a spot on The Voice. However, in December 2020, 6 months after she filed for divorce, Kelly claimed her ex had acted fraudulently as her manager. In court documents filed at the time, Kelly described her partnership with Starstruck, the talent agency Brandon worked for, as a fraudulent and subterfuge device for their illegal services as unlicensed agents. The documents were filed in a countersuit to Brandon's father, Narvel Blackstock, after claims that Kelly owed the company over $1.4 million and would continue to owe them from her talk show and The Voice earnings even though she was no longer represented by Starstruck. Kelly doubled down, alleging Brandon had been demanding unconscionable fees, acting in conflict of interest with her, and giving false information and/or making false representations. Even though they were still in their manager lawsuit dispute, the couple's divorce was finally settled in March 2022, but ended up costing the pop superstar a fortune. She was ordered to pay Brandon over $1.3 million, along with $45,601 per month in child support and a staggering $115,000 a month in spousal support, according to court documents. This was all while they continued to fight over their financial empire. The battle continues. In November 2023, the California Labor Commissioner ruled in Kelly's favor, ordering Brandon to repay her over $2.6 million in commissions he unlawfully collected from various deals, including her role on The Voice as well as multiple endorsements. However, the following month, Brandon and Starstruck challenged the ruling and appealed the decision, requesting a new trial in court. In May 2024, Kelly and Brandon reached a confidential settlement on the Starstruck dispute and requested a dismissal of their respective cases. The details of the settlement have not been made public as both parties agreed to keep the matter private and avoid going to trial. Big sky, big problems. Their differences also included a bitter battle over the couple's $17 million Montana ranch, where both parties tried to claim ownership during the divorce proceedings. Originally, the court awarded Kelly ownership of the sprawling property and Brandon was given just 5.12% of ownership share, which was valued at $908,800 at the time, records state. Brandon attempted to gain full ownership of the property, however, due to their ironclad prenup, it remained in Kelly's possession. Despite Kelly maintaining ownership of the property, Brandon continued to live there in his final years. He moved out of Los Angeles and became a full-time rancher on their Montana property and made a name for himself at nearby rodeos. Meanwhile, Kelly and their 2 kids moved from California to New York City as she relocated her talk show to the Big Apple. Signs of trouble. Kelly took multiple leave of absences this year, and while at the time, it was not publicly clear what the family was battling, it appeared she had been taking care of Brandon. Multiple sources told Page Six that Kelly helped care for her ex as he privately battled melanoma cancer. It's been exhausting and so sad. Kelly has been working so hard, as well as looking after Brandon. Despite their difficult divorce, he's still the man she loved and still her kid's father, an insider claimed. On Wednesday, Kelly announced she was canceling the remainder of her August dates for her Las Vegas residency shows as Brandon battled a serious illness. She did not reveal he had passed though, and it is currently unclear what day Brandon died. Fans have been flocking to Kelly's social media pages offering their condolences for her great loss. However, she has still not yet publicly commented on Brandon's death. The news of Brandon Blackstock's death has brought a renewed, somber focus to one of Hollywood's most acrimonious divorces. The multi-year legal battle between Kelly Clarkson and her former husband was more than just a typical celebrity split, it was a grueling, public saga that laid bare the complexities of modern relationships, finances, and the emotional toll of a broken family. The conflict revolved primarily around 2 things: money and a sprawling Montana ranch that became both a symbol of their past and a point of contention for their future. Their love story once seemed like a fairy tale. Kelly Clarkson, the beloved American Idol winner turned talk show host, and Brandon Blackstock, a talent manager and son of her former manager, Narvel Blackstock. They married in 2013 and soon welcomed 2 children, River Rose and Remington Alexander. Their shared life was often portrayed as idyllic, with a sense of down-to-earth authenticity that resonated with Clarkson's fans. The family spent a significant amount of time at their Montana property, a retreat from the public eye that they had built together. It was a place of family gatherings, horseback riding, and a sanctuary where they could be, for all intents and purposes, a normal family. But the fairy tale ended in 2020 when Clarkson filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. What followed was an intensely bitter legal battle that captivated headlines for months. The first major point of contention was financial. Clarkson, a multimillionaire with a successful career in music and television, was the primary breadwinner. Blackstock, who had been her manager, faced accusations from Clarkson that he had defrauded her of millions of dollars. Clarkson's legal team filed a petition with the California Labor Commission, alleging that Blackstock and his company, Starstruck Management Group, had overcharged her for commissions, arguing that as a non-licensed talent agent, he was not legally entitled to represent her or collect those fees. Blackstock's lawyers fiercely denied the claims, and the legal battle became a messy public display of their financial entanglements. The fight over money went beyond just the alleged fraud. Spousal support became a central and highly contentious issue. Initially, a judge ordered Clarkson to pay Blackstock nearly $200,000 per month in spousal and child support. This staggering sum, which was later reduced, became a flashpoint for public debate. Clarkson's supporters argued that it was an outrageous amount for a man who had not contributed equally to the couple's wealth. Blackstock's legal team, however, maintained that he was entitled to support, citing the significant income disparity and the fact that he had left his career to manage hers. The emotional and financial toll of these negotiations was immense, and Clarkson spoke openly about the stress and difficulty of the process on her show and in interviews. But the most personal and emotionally charged battle was over the Montana ranch. This sprawling property, with its rustic charm and picturesque views, was more than just a piece of real estate, it was the home they had built together, the place where their children had grown up. Clarkson wanted to sell the ranch, arguing that the maintenance costs were exorbitant and that it was a constant reminder of their failed marriage. Blackstock, however, wanted to keep it. He had moved there permanently and argued that it was his primary residence and a necessary part of his life. The legal fight over the ranch was a microcosm of their broader divorce. It was a clash between two visions of the future. Clarkson wanted a clean break, a fresh start, and a way to move on from a painful chapter. Blackstock wanted to hold on to a part of their shared life, a physical representation of the home they had built. The dispute reached a point where a judge was forced to make a decision, ultimately ruling that the ranch was marital property and would be sold. However, Blackstock was given a temporary right to live there, a decision that further delayed Clarkson's ability to sever all ties. The divorce was finally finalized in 2022, but the bitterness lingered. The settlement included the spousal support agreement, a division of assets, and a custody arrangement for their children. Clarkson was awarded primary custody, with Blackstock receiving 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the summer. The terms of the settlement were a stark reminder of the division between their lives. The Montana ranch, the home they had built together, was eventually sold, a final act of separation that closed a painful chapter for both of them. In the end, the divorce was a brutal and public dismantling of a family. It showcased the emotional and financial complexities that can arise when two people with different levels of fame and wealth separate. For Kelly Clarkson, the divorce was a catalyst for a new, more independent phase of her life, both personally and professionally. She has spoken candidly about the pain and the healing process, using her experiences to connect with her audience on a deeper level. For Brandon Blackstock, the divorce meant a significant shift in his life, one that was filled with legal battles and a new, more solitary existence. The news of his death now adds a final, heartbreaking layer to this already tragic story. It's a reminder that behind the headlines and the legal filings were two people and their children, navigating the painful reality of a family torn apart. The bitterness of their divorce has been replaced by a somber reflection on the life they once shared and the profound sadness that now marks its end. The money in the Montana ranch, once the focal points of their bitter battle, now seem like distant echoes of a past that has been irrevocably altered by a final, unchangeable event.